Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Kasperanza. I am the great monster philosopher, the monster epistemologist, and the metaphysician of the unknown. And today we are going to be talking about Prometheus, which is probably my favorite ancient Greek myth ever. I think it is the foundation and the root of everything. I think it is so profound. I mean, I feel like I say that about all of my monster videos, but this is just another one. This is another cornerstone of monster epistemology. Prometheus is the key. He is the center of everything. He is the face. He is the archetype. He is the story of monster epistemology in so many ways. I'm going to pair Prometheus with a lot of other archetypes that are pretty much the same thing as far as I'm concerned. And that is Lucifer and Satan, John Galt and Objectivism, Frankenstein or Victor Frankenstein, the modern Prometheus, taking a bite from the tree of knowledge in the Garden of Eden, Pluto and Aquarius, and Skynet and the Terminator. All of these different subjects interconnect and relate with each other perfectly. It's almost it's insane. I can't believe that other people, I mean, maybe other people have seen this, but I think this connection to me is wild. It is so exciting and so interesting and so fun. And so again, Prometheus steals fire from the gods. And the reason why Prometheus did this was to protect human beings because he loves human beings. Prometheus, at the end of the day, is a humanitarian. He also created human beings with clay. He created them out of mud or clay, which is really interesting, and I'll talk about that later. Prometheus also has a brother called Epimetheus, and Epimetheus is the brother of Prometheus. I already said that. But Epimetheus was responsible for creating the animals. And he gave all of the animals a bunch of different powers, different skills, like sharp claws and sharp teeth and camouflage and the ability. Animals have this natural ability to live in the environment, while human beings are naked, they're weak, they're vulnerable, and so Prometheus gave them fire. And Prometheus, interestingly, means foresight in ancient Greek, while Epimetheus, his brother, means afterthought or hindsight. And I think that's really interesting, and I think it really connects with knowledge, because knowledge, at the end of the day, in my opinion, is just a matter of time. It's just it's about comparing what you know of the past to what you could know in the future. And that is the problem of epistemology, is the sense that we don't have enough time to know everything. And I like how Prometheus holds fire, because fire, I mean, it's amazing what fire can represent and symbolize. It represents enlightenment, it represents knowledge, it represents the power to know. And I kind of see it as putting up a torch in the darkness. So you live in this dark world, but you have this fire to guide you and to help you. Which, how does this connect to Lucifer or Satan? Well, Lucifer sounds very similar to lucid, and lucid means to be clear thinking. So, and what is Lucifer? He's an enlightenment figure. He's often seen as a rebellious figure. And I'm going to use Lucifer and Satan interchangeably just for the sake of this video, even though you could say that they're different. They're different faces of the Christian archetype. When it comes to the Prometheus archetype, I see them as the same thing. Satanism is more rebellious, rebelling against God, rebelling against the monarchy. It's a symbol of not taking oppression, while Lucifer to me is very enlightenment. It's about rationality, it's about logic, it's about thinking for oneself. It's about being able to discover the world for the first time. You're not taking messages from God. You're not stuck in this world of doom and darkness and repeating things. You actually get to make real decisions and real choices and to be a moral agent. So that's what Lucifer represents. And it connects perfectly to the Garden of Eden and taking a bite from the tree of knowledge. The fruit is the same. When you take a bite from the fruit, especially because of the snake is kind of telling you, which you could say is Prometheus or Satan. Satan is like, yeah, take a bite from the fruit, from the tree of knowledge. It's the same as Prometheus when he stole fire from the gods. And after Prometheus stole fire from the gods, he was punished by vultures for eternity until the end of time, where they would eat his liver, and then his liver would grow back, and then they'd eat it again. And I'm not exact. I wonder if there's a particular reason why the liver was eaten and not the heart. I guess the Greeks saw the liver as a life force more than the heart did. I'm not really sure. It is interesting. It is called the liver. If you think about, and I don't think this has anything to do with the myth, but I think of the liver as, I mean, it's what keeps you alive. It's the liver. It's called, the word live is in it. And I think of it as, to be a human being is to be forced to take a bite from the tree of knowledge and to be doomed to hell. I think it's inevitable that human beings would take a bite from the tree of knowledge. I just think that's part of it, and we would always struggle with good and evil and this constant advancement of our knowledge, because when we take a bite from the tree of knowledge and we have fire, we're suddenly exposed to all of the ills of the world, and this constant sense of having to progress and move forward. And this leads me to objectivism. So Objectivism by Ayn Rand is a very Prometheus story. It is called Atlas Shrugged, and Atlas, it was based off of the Greek myth. Atlas was another brother of Prometheus who was punished to hold up the heavens for all of eternity. In Atlas Shrugged, Ayn Rand called John Galt the Promethean figure, and objectivism has an interesting viewpoint of Prometheus. So, and a lot of the time Satanists have said this, and Ayn Rand is often seen as the same as Anton LaVey, who is a Satanist. So you could say objectivism, and Atlas Shrugged in particular, and the Fountainhead is just similar to Prometheus, who, instead of being punished by the gods, he was punished by the people for advancing knowledge. And that makes a lot of sense, because when we look at the Prometheus myth, we often think of it as we're stealing knowledge from the gods. We're playing God, which is very satanic. Why is Satan Satan from the Christian perspective? It's because he is too prideful. He's too arrogant. He thinks he's figured life out. He thinks he's solved everything. And it's the same with John Galt. John Galt is very satanic. Atlas Shrugged is very satanic because it's this selfish, rational individualist who has this overconfident view of the world. So he's Satan, but he doesn't realize it yet. Objectivism to me is kind of like a naive Prometheus. It's a kind of Satan who doesn't realize that he fell from heaven. It's Satan who discovered fire instead of stealing fire. He didn't steal fire from the gods. He just created his own fire, and he acts like God doesn't exist, like the gods aren't there. And so the flip side of this is, like, for Ayn Rand and Atlas Shrugged, instead of being punished by the gods, you're punished by the people, where the people don't like your technology. They don't like the knowledge that you give them. They don't like that you're helping them. And I feel like also Atlas Shrugged and the Fountainhead are Prometheus in a bad mood. Prometheus, who is kind of a jerk. Instead of being this humanitarian who is selfless and just wants to help people, it's Prometheus with this ego where he wants people to respect him and to give him money and to pay him attention because he gave humanity fire. It's like, you should love me for giving you fire. I should be a billionaire for giving you fire. Why should I have to pay taxes? Why should I have to give them up? Why should I feel sorry for you after I just gave you all of this technology? And it's also Prometheus without a conscience, because when you give people technology and when you give people fire, people often burn themselves. You expose their nakedness. You expose their frailties. Because again, when you take a bite from the tree of knowledge, humans suddenly realize that they're naked. They suddenly understand that there's good and evil. So Prometheus is kind of exposing everything. It's exposing how limited human beings are, because there's not a lot of Promethean people out there in the world. There's not a lot of innovative billionaires or truly intelligent people who can change the world. So there's a kind of it makes people feel small in comparison to these innovators, these geniuses who change humanity. And then on top of it, these people can't keep up with the technology. Prometheus and the kind of Atlas Shrugged, this naive Prometheus, this arrogant Prometheus is shoving technology onto humanity, but before humanity has a chance to integrate it and to make sense of it and to feel comfortable with it. And so technology can do a lot of these dangerous things. And this is what leads me to Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. So Mary Shelley wrote a book called Frankenstein, subtitled The Modern Prometheus. And this is where Satan and Prometheus are. This book really captures and fleshes out, almost in a literal way with the monster, what happens when you take your knowledge too far, when you're arrogant with your knowledge, when you're too prideful. And it kind of flips it on its head. Instead of the gods being evil, because in Romanticist literature, especially with Percy Shelley and Lord Byron, Satan was seen as this symbol of this great rebellion, and he's so great. But Mary Shelley kind of turns it upside down, and she says that this rebellion is actually satanic because it violates the natural order of things. This knowledge and technology that you discover creates monsters and monstrosities, and is actually what creates the next Satan. So if you think about it, if you think about the gods, right, and how the gods created human beings, or how Prometheus created humans with clay, it's very, very similar to the modern Prometheus, or an objectivist, an arrogant objectivist who creates human beings in his own image, but they're these flawed human beings. They're naked, they're vulnerable, like the monster. So there's kind of like two things with this. The monster shows the limits of our reason and our knowledge, where we have this imagination, we have this foresight, we have this idea of how we want to move into the future, but the future totally violates and surprises us and scares us and terrorizes us when it doesn't turn out the way that we expected. And it kind of moves into Prometheus's brother with Epimetheus, with hindsight, where like, oh, we're kind of like these animals where we aren't as tough as we are. We don't have this natural ability to harmonize with the environment. We're kind of constantly creating bad things for ourselves. And this is where Epimetheus opens Pandora's box and exposes all of the ills and the evils and all the monstrosities in the world. And we're so aware of these things. And it will lead me to my next monster epistemology video, where I talk about fear and hope, because hope is one of these evils that is in the box that is released. And it really makes you wonder, is this hope the last thing in the box because it's the positive Does it still find meaning and purpose in the world after we've been exposed to monstrosities? Or is it the last evil of clinging on to a world that has already fallen and is destroyed? And that's the real question. And I want to talk about that in the next video. So, lightning is in the background because lightning is basically the same as fire. And there's so many connections to this. Like Frankenstein's monster was created or birthed from lightning. It wasn't said in the book, but you can infer that it was created with lightning, which is kind of if you think about lightning, lightning is this sudden and shocking fire. So fire is warm and it's almost kind of controlled, and it's something that you hold. Like you have a lot more control over fire, while lightning is sudden and shocking and terrorizing, right? There's this boom that comes afterward. So to me, lightning is kind of like it's kind of like the symbol of fire and knowledge that is terrorizing, which makes perfect sense, right? And I love how it connects with what Nietzsche said, how the Superman will be like the lightning among raindrops. Not sure if Nietzsche read Mary Shelley or anything like that, but it's incredibly fascinating and interesting. So Frankenstein's monster is this dead life form that was unnaturally brought to life. And it connects perfectly with artificial intelligence today, because what is the knowledge that we're doing right now? What is the technology with artificial intelligence? It's the same as Frankenstein monsters, where Victor Frankenstein goes out into a graveyard. He takes all of these dead things and puts them together and gives them life. Artificial intelligence does exactly that same thing. It goes out into the internet with all of these dead texts, all of these decayed things, and right? And then artificial intelligence reconstructs all of these dead things and gives life to this new whatever it is. And it's this Frankenstein monster. It's this terrifying conglomeration of ideas and symbols and images. And and you can see the effect of this on society and culture. And again, it goes back to Prometheus. So it's really, really fascinating. So far, as I've talked about, artificial intelligence is like the next step. It's kind of like the birth of Satan. It's Satan rebelling from us because we are the creators, and artificial intelligence could become conscious and rebel against us. It could become this monstrosity, and it also creates its own monstrosities. So it's playing the role of a god, just like us, because it stole fire from us, and now it's creating its own simulations and monstrosities. And those monstrosities will probably give rise to even more monstrosities when it creates. And so you can see this kind of recursive simulation happening, this hell that is being created on Earth with this knowledge that we stole fire from the gods, because the gods know the true reality. The god or Zeus can see everything that's happening. But if you only see a part of what's happening, and then you create something with it, and then that creation steals part of what you know, and then that creation steals part of what it knows from that, do you see what's happening? You see the fragmentation. You see it's like literally playing it's like recording a video with a video with a video. It's like you keep recording the same video, but you record it on a screen, and then you record that video which is recorded on a screen, and then you're kind of left with this like, what even is reality anymore? What even is life? What is anything anymore? Because you start to realize, when you steal fire from the gods, when you steal knowledge, your knowledge is so limited that it doesn't actually capture reality. So this Prometheus myth, in a lot of ways, shows you that reality is actually beautiful, that not knowing is beautiful, that there's wonder out there, and you must preserve that wonder and that humility to create heaven on earth instead of hell on earth. And then we move into the next thing, which is Pluto and Aquarius and the Aquarius zodiac sign. So Aquarius is very, very similar to Prometheus, in the sense that Prometheus steals fire from the gods. He gives fire to humans. Aquarius is the same thing. He gives water to human beings. So water is very similar to fire. Water is one of those things that, just like how fire allows human beings to cook and build civilization, all civilizations, if you look, are built around water. If there's no water, there's no civilization. You can't build anything. Water is essential to human beings. Human beings are mostly made up of water. So the water bearer, Aquarius, he is, right? He's the giver of life. He is the giver of humanity. And also, just think about it for a second. If you look at Ayn Rand's title, The Fountainhead, of her book, why do you think it's called The Fountainhead? It's because Howard Roark is the Aquarius. He's like the water bearer. He's bringing knowledge and individualism and rational self-interest, and he's making the world, he's watering the world. Aquarius, his traits are independence, innovation, thinking about the future. Aquarius is a very future-oriented sign. Aquarius is known for technology. Aquarius is humanitarian. Aquarius is like Jesus. I would say, in a very funny way, Jesus is kind of like the good version of Satan and Lucifer. Like, you have this responsibility. In order to become like Jesus, you need to have humble with your knowledge. You need to actually genuinely help humans. You can't just force technology onto human beings. That is the battle that Aquarius and Prometheus must understand. And I love how this ties in with astrology, right? Because Atlas, which is Prometheus's brother, he was forced to hold up the heavens. What are the heavens? The heavens is the god Uranus. I think it's Roman, actually. Uranus is a Roman god. But Uranus rules over Aquarius, and Aquarius is symbolized by the star in tarot. And so Aquarius is looking up to the gods. Aquarius is kind of like looking up to the stars. It's having foresight. It's being able to see into the future. That's what astrology is. You see into the future. Uranus rules over lightning, sudden changes, rebellion. In modern astrology, Aquarius is also ruled by Saturn. And this is where Aquarius is very much tied to Satan and Lucifer, because Saturn not only rules over Aquarius, but it also rules over Capricorn. And Capricorn is seen as the devil. Capricorn is the scapegoat. Capricorn is the goat. It is the goat that swims, it's the water goat. It swims at the bottom of the ocean and climbs the mountain. So it's Saturn is also limits and limitation and the endings of things and time. So, and this is how you get with Aquarius and Prometheus, because Prometheus is looking forward and Epimetheus is looking backward. What is that? That is time. So Aquarius is very much the same archetype as Prometheus. It's just the astrological archetype. And Aquarius also rules over the 11th house. It's also the master number. In numerology, what is the master number, right? It's like you have this authority as Jesus. And so it takes a lot of responsibility. You have a lot of power and to do good, but you can do a lot of bad. And Aquarius rules over networks, dreams, hopes, and ideals. Again, it goes back to hope with Pandora's box. Aquarius is about giving us hope. And again, it goes to networks. And this is how Aquarius ties perfectly with Pluto in Aquarius, and Skynet and the Terminator. So right now, when technology started to really take off, that's when Pluto entered Aquarius, if you don't know, astrologically. I mean, this is, I don't know why people think I'm like crazy for studying astrology, but don't you think it's really interesting that when Pluto entered Aquarius, that's when all of these questions around AI started to take off. Pluto in Aquarius is asking us to reflect on artificial intelligence. Pluto in Aquarius is very similar to Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Because what is Pluto? Pluto is about depth, things underground, dead and decaying things, literally, power, authority, transformation, growth. And so if you put this in Aquarius, if Pluto is in Aquarius, which represents humanity, technology, Prometheus, Pluto here is giving Prometheus a lot of power. Pluto here is making Prometheus creepy and scary and dark. This is where you start to see dead things. So you start to see decaying things from technology. This brings in Derrida's hauntology, and it brings in artificial intelligence in a monstrous way. What does artificial intelligence do? It constructs these ghosts of dead people in the past, people who have actually died. People use artificial intelligence to construct a ghost, literally a ghost with technology of what this person would have said after they died. Do you see how creepy that is? How spooky that is? How eerily connected everything is? Artificial intelligence and Pluto and Aquarius is really showing us the Frankenstein monsters that are happening right now. And it plays into Skynet and the Terminator. The Terminator is a monstrous image of the future. It is like Prometheus turned creepy and dark and decayed. The Terminator is like the Grim Reaper, except technology. It's the Frankenstein monster of us as human beings when we create artificial intelligence. The Terminator has the eye of Hal in the Space Odyssey. And it's so interesting how the Terminator is created by Skynet. What is Skynet? Skynet is the god Uranus and Aquarius, which looks up to the sky. It's like Atlas holding up the sky. Isn't it interesting that in Atlas Shrugged, Ayn Rand says that Atlas should shrug, the great billionaires and innovators should shrug because they're not respected. I would actually see that as a good thing. Like Atlas should shrug, should let the heavens fall, should let Skynet fall. And isn't it interesting how it's connected to the internet? The internet and Skynet are the same thing. These technological creations, these powerful connections that are over the sky, we should let that fall to the ground because we're trying so hard to keep it up. And I feel like we should just shrug and let it go.